Hey, Peace Collective. This is Candace Green. I'm so happy to be with you on Saturday for Cherishedflight Live. This is season 2, and I am just excited to be here with my special guest today, who I will be introducing in just a minute. But I wanted to share with all of you why I'm doing Cherishedflight Live. So back in March, I started doing live peace breaks every day at noon because I knew and understood that all of us were dealing with a lot of anxiety and fears and just um, everything related to being quarantined. So I started doing that every day at 12 p.m. And then God said, hey, expand this. Let's do something on Saturdays to really engage with my Peace Collective. So that's where Cherishedflight Live came from. So I did season 1, and you all said keep it going. So I kicked off season 2 last Saturday, and today I have on my show a very special guest by the name of Miss LaKeisha Johnson. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
And LaKeisha is a brilliant young woman and the founder of Fearless Dance Empire. Now, I will say, just as a disclaimer, my daughter is a member of Fearless Dance Empire, but this goes way further than my daughter and all the dancers in Fearless. And you'll get to hear the story behind Fearless Dance Empire. But before we get there, I just want to tell you a little bit about this amazing woman you see sitting before you. So, LaKeisha Johnson. I'm sorry. LaKeisha Johnson is a 2015 Community Studies and Civic Engagement graduate of the University of Baltimore. She's been dancing since she was 2 years old. And she started dancing at the local police athletic league center in Northeast Baltimore. And then in '99, she began training at Baltimore Dance Tech under the direction of Miss Stephanie Powell. Now, I met Keisha, and I think it was 2013, maybe 2014, 2013, when she was the vice chair, right?
Yes.
Of the Baltimore City Youth Commission. And that's a program that was developed to give young people in Baltimore City a voice in city government. Brilliant. It was there that I learned how God planted the seed of fearless within her. But we're going to get into that. Keisha, thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you to Cherishedflight Live. And I know we have a lot of the FDE, Fearless Dance Empire family watching. So welcome, FDE family, and welcome, Peace Collective. So we're going to jump right into it because this hour can go by so fast. So please, it says here in your bio that you started dancing at the age of 2, but give us some more information about that. How did you really develop that love for dance?
So it wasn't even a love for dance from the beginning. Initially, I was a premature baby, knock knee, pigeon toe. I could not walk, not run without falling on top of myself. And my mom took me to the doctors. They thought they would have to break my legs and reset them, put them in braces to help me dance. And she said she didn't really want that to happen. So she was trying to find another alternative, besides that surgery to allow me to walk and run and operate like a normal child. And so she said, let me try dance. Dance is going to help with the turnout and the strength of her legs. So we're going to put her in a dance program.
What? Okay, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Beginning of me starting to dance. Yeah.
wow, and the foresight that your mom had to not to go the route the doctors were saying, but let's try some alternative method. Wow. Okay, so and that was when you were 2.
That was when I was 2. Yep. And so
Okay.
my brother is older than I am, and so he was attending the police athletic league, and so my mom would always be there. I would always be there. They had a dance program, and I wasn't supposed to be there. I was too young, but because my mom was there, they allowed me to dance there. I remember Officer Eureka and Officer Singletary from the Northeast Powson. It's still there. And that's where I started. And I had an amazing teacher, Miss Annette, and she taught me dance. It was recreational dance, but that was how I had my first interactions with dance. And from there, my mom put me in a professional studio, Morton Street Dance Studio. It was actually located on Morton Street. And then from there, I went with Miss Stephanie Powell when she started her business, Baltimore Dance Tech. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. And someone else has just put in here, wow. Oh, that's Crystal. Crystal says, wow. With that story. Okay, so here's my question for you. I know that dance can be a very segregated discipline,
Yes.
extremely segregated, and that they really have an issue with honoring Black bodies because our bodies are made differently. How did you? How, I know you encountered that, but how did you and your mom help you to navigate through that?
And well, first, my mom and my grandmother always exposed me to, you know, and the appreciation of my own culture. So I never really had issue with the color of my skin. Like I knew I was different. I knew I was dark skinned. I knew I was beautiful because they always tell me that, you know. And God didn't make no junk, so I believe that. And thankfully, I did because once I was immersed in these types of spheres, I had to rely on my upbringing. I had to rely on those thoughts. And even though I was young, I experienced a lot of racism. I experienced a lot of prejudice. I experienced a lot. And it was very difficult. But because of my upbringing, because my mom and my grandmother always instilled that in me at a young age, it didn't faze me as much as it did some of my other counterparts, which is still, you know, a little disheartening because they love dance, but because say that, oh, you're too big. We're in elementary school, middle school. They're telling us that we go on diets. You're too big.
Wow.
Even though I was on a heavier side, I was never like a small person. I'm built, and our bodies are just built differently. So they will always typecast me. I would be a father. I would be any type of male, character in a ballet. And it happened all the time. And my mom said, okay, well, it's up to you. What is it you want to do? If you're going to be the dad, then you be the best that you can be. Let them see you. Like, yes, you still can be, you don't know how to be a man, but, if part that they gave you, then you be the best at it. Don't allow them to, diminish who you are as an individual to a character or to their idea of what you should be. Um, so I always had to continue the fight, of us being African American females in sport of dance, a white sport of dance. You want to come down to apparel, so apparel is, nowadays they have more variety in skin tones and textures and colors for African American dancers, but it's been a long time coming. We were always the dye out tights, dye out shoes, the little straps on your dresses. You had the pancake with makeup so it wouldn't be white, hairnet hair, like that was always in hair. I've been natural all my life, and I have a fro. And having to tame a fro, well, not tame, but having to put my fro in a bun or in a ponytail or pullback style every single time I came to class, it taught me discipline, but it also taught me to continue to fight and push for whatever it was I believed in. And I wanted to be a dancer. I knew that I was good. I can jump higher than all those other girls. I could turn just as fast as those other girls.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. And what I like is that your mom didn't say, okay, you know what, we're going to pull you out of this program. She said, no, you're going to be the best that you can be. Mm-hmm. That right there creates a work ethic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. On top of the dance and the discipline that dance already, gives one. But yes, that definitely pushed me 10 times further. Mm-hmm.
How did you, just thinking about that, sometimes we think, okay, my parents going to rescue me from this. But when your mom said, no, you're going to face it, how did that impact you? Like what did that bring out in you?
So I was always an child. I always, whatever I wanted, whatever, like if they say, you know, you cannot do something. I was going to find a way to do what it was that I wanted to do. And so I was always very anxious in that, you know, field. So when she told me that I would have to face it and continue with it, okay, that's fine. Like I was not planning on quitting. Like I'm not a quitter. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I was making sure I'm letting you know that this is what they're saying to me, mom. You know, and I don't like it. And so
Yeah.
she told me different ways to navigate those fields. She said, if this is
Yeah.
what you really want, then this is what you have to. If you would like for me to step in, then I'll do so. And I'll speak on your behalf. Like I said, there were times where they would try to weigh us as children to do like weigh-ins. Like
Wow.
it was a very, it was a lot. Luckily, they don't have those issues. I mean, anymore. Like you still have companies, repertoires, repertories. You still have those issues. They're not talked about as much because a lot of dancers they do face, you know, bulimia, and different eating disorders and such.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But she was like, "Oh no, that's what you want to do. Don't let anyone stop you. Not
Yeah.
even." So yeah.
But I like how she empowered you because she said, I'm here. When you need me to step in, I'm going to step in, but I'm going to teach you how to navigate so you will know for yourself and not doing it for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Um, as an aside, I know this is not on our list of questions, but I know that your mother is also, I don't know if this is the right term. She speaks fluent sign language. Is that the right term?
She's an interpreter. Yes.
Interpreter. Okay. And so are you.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And I have that one story that I love so much that you told me when you were at church,
Mm-hmm.
how your mom signed to say, look, you better
Yes.
get this up
Oh,
together.
you know, all those moms had that eye, that look. My mother told me, sit down now. I said, oh, all right, right now.
Yes.
But we
But
always would communicate, even still today. We communicate via sign. I don't use sign as much as I used to. We were heavily immersed in the deaf culture. Like I said, my family always immersed me in different types of culture, so I had an appreciation. I wouldn't, you know, look down upon or like make fun of other people in their culture. So we went to a deaf church. It was a church specifically for deaf, deaf and hard of hearing people, blind. I was a part of the Girl Scouts there. I was a part of the children's choir. They thought I was deaf because of how much I had deaf friends. So I was just, you know, I'm just blessed to have had so many opportunities. But yes, my mom has taught me a great deal with sign language, and I was learning sign language since I was young.
yes. And so after I met you, I know you received an award for, I think there was a convention that took place here in Baltimore for the deaf.
Maybe.
And they came to where you were working.
Yes. So I worked at the Baltimore City Convention Center. Once I left work, you know, down City Hall, I worked I worked at Starbucks. I decided, okay, Keisha, I really want to do something different, and I started working at Starbucks in the convention center. And everyone, you know, I was always quiet. I'm like, who is she? And I'm like, I'm just here because I'm in college. I'm trying to graduate, Operation Graduation, you know, get this degree. And one day we had patrons come in to purchase some coffee, and they were just having a hard time because they did not like, it's the Baltimore City Convention Center. You think that they would have, you know, interpreters for all languages, not just only Spanish, you know,
Right.
and they did not have anyone. They did not know that I knew sign language. So the people came and they would have their papers and they like writing down like, this is what I want, and their phone texting it. And I asked, I was like, hello, how are you? You fine? Good. They were like, oh my goodness, because a lot of deaf people, they're really open. If you know sign language, you're part of their family, like immediately. You know?
Uh-huh.
And so then we started talking. And they were like, wow. And they loved the fact that I knew sign language. And every year they would come back, they would leave me a big tip they would talk to the managers of the convention center, and with everything else that was happening at the convention center, they ended up I received the award for worker of the year. I was the employee of the year. Yep. And I had plenty of weeks and employee of the months, and then they ended up receiving the award for employee of the year.
That was awesome. I thought that was awesome, and the story was awesome.
Yep.
But that speaks to who you are and how you have such a heart for others. And you said, you know what? Let me communicate with you. Let me help you out. And I
And
love
sometimes
that.
you don't really realize how small that may be, but how much bigger it is for someone else. Like, they didn't have anyone in the convention center that knew sign language. Anytime they had an issue, and they came back for years and they left reviews. Like, we loved it. This one girl at Starbucks, she signed to us, and they kept coming back from year to year to year. And if they would have any issues, they would come find me. And I was coming and I'm like, I'm not even an interpreter, but I'll do my best. And it was something that they always remembered. And every year they would come back and they would say the same thing. Like, I just love the fact that you helped us. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. So. Yes.
Okay, so let's segue back into dance. So all these years throughout your formative years, you're dancing, correct?
Yes.
And when did now I would think, as someone who loves to watch dance, that dancing is one thing, but creating dances, choreography is something else. When did you begin to love that part of dance?
I think innately we all love to create, especially when you're in the arts realm. It's always good to be taught, but when you have the opportunity to just put on music, we as beings, we have the movement of our limbs. Like, music just moves us, whether it just be spiritually, emotionally, physically. So it always has been a part of me. I love to just dance, and I'm not gonna say back in the day, because I'm not super old, but a few years ago, like back maybe in like middle school, we would have like Baltimore club mix, right? They will always DJ K Swift, K Swift, and she would have the music on, and everyone is dancing to the parties. It's just you just go, you just let your body go, and that's choreography. It's just improvising more so than choreography, but I really enjoyed that. But then also having the opportunity to dance at my church. I dance at I'm a member of Bethel AME Church on Druid Hill Avenue in Baltimore, Maryland, and just being a part of that church and under the direction of Sister Charlene Kelly. She made sure that young people had a voice, had an opportunity to teach. It wasn't always us being taught. She knew we had something inside of us to give, especially because of many of us were trained dancers, which is sometimes, you don't see a lot of trained dancers a part of church, church ministries. And we were blessed to have many, many, many trained dancers a part of our ministry. And they were not going to allow us to just sit back and just always listen to people who are not trained, they really believed that we all had something to give. And that was an opportunity, because that was the first time I had an opportunity to actually choreograph for multiple people, and not just only myself, and adults as well. So.
I see the trickle down. I see.
Yes.
Okay. So, Fearless. Where did that idea come from? How did that come about?
So, I'm still in school at University of Baltimore. I did like a whole tour in college. I went from Bennett to UMBC, and I finished at UB, thankfully.
Yes.
So I was still in school at the time. I was still working at Starbucks, and I had an opportunity to teach, to mentor with Miss Nicole Taylor with her organization, after school program. And from there, I said, okay, cool, I'll do this, because I love, giving back to students. And she thought I was a great, person to have as a mentor to some of the students in the school. And I said, at the end of that year, they needed a program, a closing, culminating program. And so she knew that. Like, okay, Keisha, can you teach them a dance? I said, sure. The way that those children transformed, because a lot of these students were wreaking havoc in the school. They were running around the school and fighting. They do not have good grades. Like, they were really of a lot of structure. That's what the program was there to do. But once I came in with the discipline of dance, the students, their grades, like just their rapport, did a whole 360. And unfortunately, that following year, the program, the school lost funding for programs and stuff, so that the program could not come back. But the principal reached out to me saying, "Hey, we need your dance program." And I'm in school. I'm like, "What dance program? I don't have a dance program." I said, "Okay." I said, "All right, I'm gonna bring you my program."
Right. Roll with it.
Right. I rolled with it. And that was back in 2012, 2013. And that was the beginning of the dance program at Coldstream. And then from there, I did that for a few years. And after that, I wound up just posting on social media. People's like, "Oh, I want my child to be part of your program." I'm like, "This is an after school program, but I got you."
Roll with it.
Right. I'm just rolling with it. Every time there was something new, I took on the challenge. So they said, I said, "Okay, I'm gonna have a Saturday program." I was working with my school. I had an internship at the downtown Cultural Arts Center. And so I spoke with the director. I said, "Hey, I have a program, with some young people. Do you have space?" And then God just kept opening doors. And then that following year, I had people reaching out to me. Well, during that summer, "Hey, I have my niece, I have my granddaughter during the summertime, and she's from Florida, she's from New York, she's from Wisconsin. Do you have a summer program?" Yes. Working out. And so each year it was something different. So we started out with just being an after school just a showcase to being an after school program, to an after school program with a Saturday program, after school program, Saturday program with a summer camp.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I know that my daughter came in throughout some of that as well. But okay, so please explain to us why the name Fearless Dance Empire. What is it about that name?
So, and this is a crazy story. So, something always, I had a discussion with some of the students, and I was creating a social media page, and I said, "Hey, we have to have a name. Like, what can our name be?" And so they kept talking and saying stuff, and I said, "Well, why do we dance? Like, we trying to figure out, a name. So like, you have to go to different avenues to try to find the perfect name." So they were talking. They said, "Well, we just want to do it because we see what's going on, and we have Freddie Gray, and it's so many different issues happening out here. I just love being in the school and dancing because I'm not afraid, to be myself. I'm not afraid to have sisters. I'm not afraid to enjoy being a part of something that is doing something amazing." So I said, "Okay, cool." Everything they were saying was something about not being afraid. Not being afraid, whether it be not afraid of the community, not being afraid of someone else. So I said, "Okay, I want to go on a trip that weekend," and I was on a bus. And this Ukrainian guy, I know God sends us people all the time. I'm on a bus on my way up to visit some family. And this Ukrainian guy was sitting in front of me, and it was an empty bus. It was just crazy how we just sat still, like, near each other. And he said, "Hey, what you working on?" And I'm like, "I'm working on a name." He said, "What kind of name?" I said, "Well, I'm developing a name for my business." He said, "You have a business?" I said, "Yes." So he said, "What do you do?" I said, "I teach dance." He said, "Oh, okay." He said, "So it's like a land of little girls dancing?" I said, "Absolutely. It's a land of little girls dancing." And so just the conversation, my wheels kept turning, and the name Fearless stood out. Empire stood out. I had a dream, and then everything just came together. I saw like these kings and queens and little girls dancing, and I'm like, "This is it, Fearless Dance Empire." And so, and then my best friend called me one day, and she said, "Have you heard that poem, Our Deepest Fear?" And I said, "Yeah." So things, it just came like just drop little nuggets, and I just connect the dots and just run with it. So. Yep.
Please, because you mentioned the poem, please
Yes.
talk about that and why that is the I call it the center, the heart, or the hub of Fearless.
Yes. So the poem is by Marianne Williamson. She, wrote this poem years ago, and we only say an excerpt of it. And I kind of made it be specifically for Fearlessness Empire. So we don't say the whole thing, but it starts out like every day after we finish, no matter how our day went. They could have gotten fussed out by me. They could have all day. They could have, sat out. They could have had an amazing day. No matter what, even having our shows, we all come together and we say these words, no matter how old we are. We have 2-year-olds who can recite, this portion of the poem. And it says, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. We ask ourselves, who am I to be? Brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. Actually, who are you not to be? Okay, I can go on and on, but I'm just sorry because it wells me up on the inside. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, and it's so heavy. And just like with the first portion of the poem, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. And I literally thought that's how I live my life. This is how I live my life. I don't think that I am less than or I lack something. My deepest fear is not that I'm not better than someone else. My fear is not even with them. It's with me. I hold my own deepest fear. I am my deepest fear. I have to make sure that I'll continue to push and continue to be powerful in everything that I do. So whether it be Fearlessness Empire, whether it is me being a man, on stage when I was about 10 years old, no matter what it was, I had to still be powerful. And I had to make sure that everyone knew that as soon as I walk and my foot touched the threshold of any building, people know that I'm powerful.
Yes. Woo! And you know what? All of your experiences, like you just went through that whole list, they stack upon each other to help to create the foundation for Fearless. I know. Okay, so then speaking about Fearless and the dance studio. First of all, you have a studio.
Yes, I have a studio.
Which you said in Baltimore City, it's the only Black-owned dance studio. Am I correct? In Baltimore City? Okay.
Not just only in Baltimore City. There are a few others that are around, but on Greenmount. You don't see too many dance studios in the city, especially in certain areas.
Right.
You see them, but they are in other more affluent communities. And so I decided to have my studio on Greenmount Avenue.
Yep.
Why not? I mean, I thought that would have been, the epicenter of art, for our community. And we have so many people coming in and out. We have so many people coming past. I just shared with some of our students on the summer camp. Yes, dance take place on the inside, but there's learning on the outside. Every year for Black History Month, our students, make some amazing projects, and I'd be sure to post and present those projects to the community. I put them in a window, and still to this day, I still have Black History projects in the window. That's because I keep seeing people looking at them. So I'm like, I'm not gonna take them down until I think, the new projects are coming in. But people, they look at our windows and they're taking pictures. They're telling their children to get in there, and they taking selfies like, yeah, you see this girl? You see Judith Johnson? You see Alvin Ailey? And they're learning about amazing African American trailblazers in the realm and sphere of dance.
Okay, so that's another thing that I love. Okay, so with the discipline of dance, which we're going to talk about just in a second, you also are very, very adamant about academic progress and how each of the young ladies, and there's no young men.
Yes,
yeah,
young men.
Okay, so I'll say it like this: the dancers, you have expectations for them academically. So you're not just coming in and dancing and leaving. This is a family. Absolutely. And we need to know that as a family, we work hard together academically and with dance.
Absolutely.
And it's a very aggressive and disciplined environment.
I mean, and I do that because I think about all the other activities that are out there, and ones that I have been part of, and a lot of the directors, and they weren't really asking about my grades. They really didn't care how I was going academically. They just wanted to make sure I was perfect and I was perfecting what it was that I was intended to do there. So then you have an issue where, so let's say a child is not doing well in school, and the parent then uses that art or that outlet that the child is a part of as, a consequence. Like, oh, okay, well, if you do not do well here, I'm taking you out of that. And so I'm saying, if you have discipline in all aspects, and it's not just here solely just for the fun of it, but because you're learning about character, because you are making sure that your grades stay up. Because not only are you going to hear your parent, you're going to hear me as well. I'm going to make sure, like, if you're, not doing what you're supposed to do, first off, you're going to have push-ups. If you have anything below a certain average that I'm looking for, then you're going to have to do push-ups. And that only started because at the school at Coldstream at the time, one of the students was like, Miss Keisha, I have my report card. You want to see it? I'm like, sure, let me see your report card. And so I looked at her report card. She was so excited. She was like, maybe in second grade, she had like 3 or 4 failing grades and like 2 really good grades. And she was like, look, I got a 90, I have a 80, and I had like a 60 and a 50. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so from there, I said, well, I need to see everyone's report card, because at the time, I'm still in school, and I'm like, you all see me hustling and working hard, leaving from a job. I have to get up at and be at work at 6 a.m. 6 to 2, and then leaving from there to come to the after school program, and then from there leaving there to go to college. And I didn't get out of school until 10:45 at night. So I'm like, I value education. And I cannot do my job, and this is an extracurricular activity. You have to have your curriculum together. You have to know that. And I cannot be an educator, like, even if I'm just a dance educator, I cannot be a dance educator and I'm not focusing on the whole child, And so from there, that was why I started to implement, I need all your report cards, send them to me, let's see them, because then at the time too, like, I was a disciplinarian with those students at the Coldstream. So a lot of times the teachers would text me, hey, Miss Keisha, you might need to come up here and check on your student, because they knew that the children would react differently to me than they did with their parent. A lot of those students, I was their emergency contact, because of the discipline.
Yeah.
Would call. They would run in the halls, and I would come and pop up, and they're like, Miss Keisha.
Yeah, it's a class.
Discipline. They knew that if you didn't get it together, Miss Keisha was not only she wasn't going to fuss at you. I was going to discipline them. Push-ups. You tell me why. Behavior chart. Let's get it together. You have to be a better you.
So, all right. Someone says that's right. You have to focus on the whole child. Yes, and that's what happens at Fearless. So, okay, you have different groups at Fearless for dancers to participate in. And then you have a group that the cohort, or what do you call them?
Core group. Yeah.
The core group that you have to audition in order to participate with. So tell everybody a little bit about the structure of Fearless.
So Fearless Empire is broken down into different levels. So for our younger, we have minis, which are like our little babies. We start at 16 months. So, and yes, they do dance, and we have the same expectations.
Yes, with the minis, they're so cute.
Cry, okay, parent, you have to go. They're in good hands, I promise you. But they have to, they have to work. They have to be ready to be independent. And so, starting at 16 months, they are called Kingdom. So it's Kingdom, and then we have Realm, which is like the next level. Then we have Dynasty, and then we have Reign, and then from there we have Air, and then we have Eminent Domain. Eminent Domain is our older students, and then we also have a core group. Now, the core group is called Imperium. And so, as you know, all these names are, descriptive, for different types of empires and kingdoms. And so I always thought of something as royal, like our students belong to these royal families, these royal ideas. And so that's who they are. That's where they stem from. And each, from kingdom to realm, dynasty, reign, they all stack on top of each other. And then you have eminent domain. We have Imperium and Sovereignty, which is our two core groups. Now, the core groups are extremely important because it's a lot of sacrifice. Our students typically do not sacrifice a lot, just children. A lot of times they have different things, but a lot of times they sacrifice or understand what sacrificing is. So with dance, with this in particular, they have to work hard. You're in the studio at least 8 to 9 hours a week. And that's just regular training.
Mm-hmm.
Not, when it's time for an event. So these students, they have had opportunities to travel. We've taken the core group to California. We've taken students to Florida. We've been traveling to South Carolina. So we travel. We do a lot of traveling. There are a lot of times where we have funerals, we have weddings, we have birthdays. We have had opportunities. We are party starters. So people will hire us to start a party for teenagers, who want to sit on the phone and they don't want to dance. So we come and we do dances and we get the young people, invigorated to get up on the floor and dance. But with these cohorts of young ladies, like they work tirelessly. There have been times where they've actually been asleep, and people know that if they call, they're going to receive an amazing, experience when Fearlessness Empire comes into the building. One time they were asleep. I said, "Hey, I got a phone call from this amazing opportunity. It's happening tonight in like 20 minutes. Do you think you can get here?" And the parents are like, "I'm on my way. Ladies, let's go." There have been times where we've been in class and someone called and say, "Hey, I need you all. Can you come? Hey, are y'all ready? Can we do this? Let's go find some costumes, pull them out." And we just roll the punches. They had to always be ready. And I'm so thankful for all of our core groups that we've had thus far. And those ladies, like, words are not immense enough to, just firstly thank their parents for always constantly running, with us.
Yes.
And secondly, for them, like, they've missed birthday parties, they've missed sleepovers, they don't have, friends outside of dance. Like, their dance friends have been their friends. Like, they see them at their worst, they see them at their highest, they see them when they're sad and happy, and they're there to celebrate with them. And so it is a lot of sacrifice, and I still make sure that their grades are up.
Yeah.
With great dignity. Let's go.
And the one thing I can say is, every time I've asked, the dancers who perform either for my church or a work event have been phenomenal.
Thank you.
And I mean, like, to the point where when they're dancing, people are emotional. Because what you are training them to do is not just dance, but to emote through dance. And so when I see them dance, and people are like, okay, they're teenagers, they're gonna know. When they dance, you will feel every lyric of the song, every note, because they dance with emotion. And it is a beautiful thing to witness. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous thing to witness. And what I love about what you're doing with Fearless is the same thing that, now that you said it, Charlene Kelly did for you at Bethel, you're doing for the girls at Fearless, or the dancers at Fearless, where you are training them to teach the younger dancers, the minis, and the younger ones, so they are learning choreography and teaching the young ones. I love that idea, that business model that you're creating within them.
Thank you. And I think it's very important because one thing we always ask our children, is, what is it you want to be when you grow up? And I always question, do we really give them the tools and resources to accomplish those goals and dreams that they have? And a lot of times, I've heard that there have been some studies that shows that, whatever you said you wanted to do when you were younger, when you get older, you go back to it. So if we're not really, pushing our child, to follow their dreams and trying to put them in another, they're going to find their way back to what it was that really interested them when they were younger. And so if we're asking our students, like, if they say they want to be a dance teacher, I'm like, oh, okay, well, perfect. This is a dance studio. And guess what? You're about to become a teacher. I'm going to train you on how to teach. And then this is what you're going to do. And
Yeah.
teach them how to become their own business. Teach them how to become an entrepreneur. And so even through dance, our students have had many opportunities. We have students who represent Shoe City. We have students who represent Huma Girl. We have so many opportunities for our students. One of our students, a part of a show and did really well, and they just have so many opportunities on their own. And that's what I really continue to push them to do is, be your best you, whether you want to dance or not. We have another student who's a model, and she started modeling through dance and had to equip her with the things and tools that she needed to become a better model. Everything that she's learning through dance is what she's able to apply in modeling. And that's
Mm-hmm.
every aspect, of life. Like, it's not just solely about dance. Dance is the last thing that we do at Fearless Dance Empire. We're fearless.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when you're talking about opportunity too and dancing, because we know that's the core, um, many of your dancers have gone on to become or have been accepted into dance programs around the country.
Yes.
Tell the Peace Collective a little bit about that.
And it's crazy. A lot of times it's unheard of. We're only 5 years old. We're only 5 years old. And so 2 years ago, we had students audition for Dance Theater of Harlem in New York City, a very prestigious African American dance theater.
Yes.
That was founded by Arthur Mitchell, and he founded, Dance Theater of Harlem, kind of like how I founded, Fearlessness Empire. It's in the city and in the heart of Harlem, and we had a group of students who went down there and auditioned, and majority of them received callbacks and was accepted into the program. This year we had the same situation. We had students audition for Tap Fest and Dance Theater of Harlem again, and we also had students audition for Alonzo King Lines Ballet, and we had students who made that. And Alonzo King is in California. So we had these amazing opportunities that to show that what it is that we're doing here works. They're learning. And not
Yeah.
only are they learning and they're right here in Greenmount, but they are able to compete with the best of them. And
Yeah.
that student who made it to Alonzo King Lines Ballet, she is 15 years old, and she wound up ranking in a pre-professional level of dance.
Wow.
They it wasn't until COVID hit, and they were like, well, she's only 15? Because she was in a class with the 18, 20-year-olds. And so it spoke volumes to what it is that we do here at Fearlessness Empire, and the impact that we're making on these young people's lives, and how amazing they will continue to be, if they continue to push themselves and listen and, be disciplined and, work hard.
Yeah. But that is also a testament to you and what you are doing with these young ladies and teaching them the work ethic and the discipline so that when they go to these places and are accepted into these big places, because we're speaking life,
Yes, that's right.
when they get there, they know how to persevere. They know how to push through. They know how to work hard. They know when they need to step it up. And they hear you in their heads like, okay, all right, Miss Keisha, I hear you. They're going to do what you taught them to do, which is all a testament to your mom
Yes.
and how she pushed you as well when you were a young dancer. Oh my goodness. I just got chills.
And that's why they're still there. Like my mom and grandmom, they always are still there beside me because
Yes.
poured so much into me, and to see me pour that back into the community, I know that they are thanked 10 times over. They are just they always say like, wow, like these students are really, really, really good. Like we did it. I'm like, absolutely, we did this.
Yes.
So it definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love it. I love it. And I would say this year I really missed the end of the year celebration, the recital, because there are times when I'm watching the dancers with tears
Yes.
coming down,
Yes, you always text me like, "Keisha, that was so beautiful."
and oh, I'm literally in tears. Like when you all they did a performance at Bethel. It was a Christmas time performance, and the performance was based on
Scrooge.
a Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah, Christmas Carol. Yep.
And I think I cried the whole time.
Wow.
I cried the whole time because it was so good and so emotional, but also tapped into the spirit of God, which I really appreciated. That's what all of your dancing and dancers, that's what you're teaching them to do. So it's not just the discipline, it's not just the work ethic, it's also understanding how to minister through dance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which then when they come and dance at churches, people feel that and know, wow, that was a young person who felt the Holy Spirit like that. Yes. Yes, the Holy Spirit can speak through anyone. But for you to teach them to be open to that is a different thing too. It's a different level
Yeah.
as
Thank
well. So I know that COVID has really impacted Fearless, but you did something creative.
you.
Um, so share with us what you did
Yeah,
during.
so during COVID, we still had classes online, and it really allowed us to get back to the basics. A lot of times, throughout the school year, you were so focused on trying to get to our show, you lose a lot of the technique. You have technique in the first, few months of training, and then from there, you work on choreography for a show, and you're so set on choreography, you lose sight of all the technical aspects that go into dancing. And so, because of COVID, it was still a blessing, in disguise, is because we had to make sure our students worked 10 times harder. We had the opportunity to go over the different parts of our body. As a dancer, you should know the parts of your body. So if you hurt something, you should be able to say like, oh, well, this muscle hurts, or this bone I feel, not working properly. And so we were able to do that. We were able to connect with our young people, and have conversations with them, and check in on them, because we are a family first. We are a family, and so it really allowed us to have fun. We had a virtual slumber party, and that was a lot of fun. And then with the adults, because we still, like, as a family, we still talk with and converse with the parents. So we had a parents' night out when the parents, we all got together, and we were just playing games as if we were some good girlfriends. Without the kids, I say, y'all leave the kids somewhere else, put them in another room or something. But we all had a fantastic time, and then we also opened it up for camp, to have a modified camp schedule, due to COVID. So we had an intensive, and the students are really learning a lot and are developing and growing. And even in the small progresses, it's still a progress, it's still a success, it's still a celebration for those opportunities, So yeah.
Yes. And when you talk about checking in on the students, I remember right after the murder of George Floyd, and the video that was shown on social media, and how that impacted young people who just happened upon it and didn't know how to process it.
Yes.
We came up with a very unique way to help them process it. And I want you to share that as well.
Yeah, so we were having class online, and I saw a lot of our students who are normally, exuberant and joyous. They weren't so much, on this particular day. And I'm like, hey, y'all, like, what's going on? Like, what's up? And they're like, oh, it's just, I'm a little sad. I'm like, okay, all right, let's start class. And then we started class, and I'm like, something is still not right. Like, everyone come and have a seat. Like, let's talk. Like, what is the issue? And then it came out that one of the students saw the video of George Floyd, his death, pretty much, and it scarred her. And a lot of the other students were just, even if they didn't see the video, they knew what was going on. They overheard, or they may have heard, parents in the kitchen talking or over the phone, and they're still around. So a lot of the students were really, traumatized by that experience, and once I realized that, I asked the parents, was it okay for me to have a discussion with their children about the different issues and just talk to them about how they feel? Because a lot of times we don't talk to them about how they feel.
Yeah.
And what they are interpreting, what they're perceiving. We tell them, okay, well, that's fine, but we don't allow them to articulate how they feel and what their emotions are during that time. And so once I just allowed the floor to be open and they started to discuss how they felt, I realized that they had a lot of emotion, they had a lot of understanding,
Yeah.
but they still could not process, and they had a lot of they were holding a lot of things internally. So we had students who say, "Oh, I want to go out there and protest." My mother said, "I can't protest. I mean, I don't believe the protest is solving anything, but I want to be out there." But they just still, they still wanted to be mobile. They still wanted to, be a part, and just didn't know how. We had students who said, "I'm scared," and I'm like, "Well, why are you scared? Like, what are you scared about?"
Mm-hmm.
And said, "Because George Floyd looked just like me."
Mm.
And it was very hard to take as as their teacher, as their mentor. Like, I wear many hats, and at this time I had to put on another hat. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about this. And so from there, I sent out an email, and I told the parents, like, you all need to talk to your students. If they do have social media, 9 times out of 10 they may have already seen this. You need to talk to them. Here's some movies, to watch with your child and discuss the racial issue, because at the end of the day, you're still a part of the dance realm. And the dance
Yeah.
does not only look like Fearless Dance Empire. And once I take them out of that element into another element, like, our students had a culture shock when they went to Disney. When they
Yeah.
were surrounded by its dance the world. So you had people from Sweden and, just all Germany. Like, they had people from all over the world. And they were like the only Black dance company. You had a few African American dancers here and there, but we don't talk to our students about, coming down Greenmount. It doesn't look like this. It's not the world. This is not the world at all. The world does not look like this.
Yeah.
So I allowed them to use dance as therapy to dance out how they felt. They had to select a song and use, the song lyrics to interpret, their movement and come up with a dance. And there were some amazing pieces done through that project.
Yeah. And you gave them an outlet that even some of us parents didn't have. And I appreciate that. I really do. And I appreciate the impact that you have on this generation, what you're teaching them, um, the empowerment that you're building within them, and the confidence and self-worth that they know that they have, that they can go into any room and be powerful
Right.
in any room that they enter. Um, because, like you said, your focus is the whole child, their mind, body, and spirit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Impact that you have on them and what you are doing and how you are taking this so very seriously, um, in order to uh, help develop this next generation of young people. So that's why
Thank
I
you.
wanted you on the show, because you're operating in your purpose and what God has for you. And my prayer, um, is that God pours back into you what you've poured into them, that He gives you creative inspiration, that He continues to open doors for you and provide for you, just what you haven't even seen yet, for Fearless,
Yes.
and what will grow from there. Because I believe Fearless is going to have different hubs all around the
Yes.
country. There'll
Thank
be a Fearless
you.
Dance Empire on the West Coast, north, south, east, west. There's a Fearless Dance Empire, and you are the mother of them all.
Wow.
You are the mother of them all.
That's confirmation. That's gonna let you know that confirmation. I just had a conversation about this yesterday. Yep. Yep.
That was all God. I didn't even know I was going to say that. That's all God. So, I appreciate you. And I tell you this, I try to tell you this often so you know it. And just in case you might forget it, I appreciate you and what you do and what you have poured into my daughter because I've seen her grow. And she does not want to disappoint Miss Keisha at all. And she does not want, she don't want to be late.
Right. Yeah.
She
Want to be in uniform.
wants to be in uniform. She want to be on time in uniform. She don't want to disappoint you. And I know those days when I walk in and pick her up, when something is wrong, she's like, and she worked hard to get back in your good graces. So, and Monica says, and I come in agreement with that declaration. So, hey, we are in agreement.
Yes, yes, yes.
So before we end, I want you to tell people how they can contact you and enroll their child into Fearless Dance Empire, and how they can follow you on social media.
Yes, so you can find Fearless Dance Empire on the web, www.fearlessdanceempire.org. All one word, fearlessdanceempire.org. We have an email, so fearlessdanceempire@gmail.com. And we also, on our website, you go to www.fearlessdanceempire.org. We have an enrollment tab. You can click enrollment. You can click to contact us, and we'll receive your information. We'll process it there. We also are on social media on Facebook and in Instagram. Our Facebook is Fearless Dance Empire, and our Instagram is F as in fearless, D as in dance, and then empire. So FD Empire, with that at sign. And we also, you can reach us on our number 443-653-3968 or 410-302-9550. And we're located at 2020 Greenmount at 21st, on the corner of 21st and Greenmount.
And say the address one more time.
2026, so 2026 Greenmount Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21218. And our suite number is 102.
Yep, and you'll see the beautiful logo with the lion,
Yes,
on the door, etched on the door. Yes, and I'll include all of this contact information, everything you've just shared, in my post when I put all of this up on Facebook and Instagram and my YouTube page as well. I want to thank you, Keisha, for joining me today. Thank you for, like I said, everything you're doing for the community and for these young dancers and building their self-esteem and self-worth, and just the amazing things that you're doing. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I thank all of you, my Peace Collective and FDE family, for watching today. And I hope you join me next Saturday on the 22nd, where I will be talking to LaKeisha Hall. Now, LaKeisha Hall was the Teacher of the Year for Baltimore City Public Schools in 2017, but she is another amazing woman. She is, now I have to hold this up, educator, mentor, survivor, and founder of the Confident Canvas, She Rose Awards, and Queendom Tea, which means the Etiquette Academy for Girls. We're going to talk about survival and how sharing your testimony frees others to share their own. So I hope you join me next week, 3 p.m. on Facebook Live for Cherishedflight Live Season 2. Until then, everybody, may the peace of God settle to your spirit.
Amen.